Which is which? Listen, everybody, said Zoe. I have a terrific idea for our Halloween costumes. Elmo was thinking of being a monster, said Elmo. Don't joke me, Elmo, said Zoe. You are a monster. Oh, right, said Elmo. Elmo will have to think of something else. Let's all go dressed as witches, said Zoe. It'll be the trick part of trick or treat, Zoe explained. No one will be able to tell who's who, because we'll all be dressed the same. That will be a good trick, said Grover. We will fool everybody. Right, said Zoe. No one will be able to tell which witch is which. Zoe, Elmo, Telly, Grover, and Harry worked hard on their costumes. They made long black capes and pointy hats. They found frizzy fright wigs, warty noses, and of course some brooms. On Halloween, 5 witches set out to go trick-or-treating. Their first stop was the lobby of the Furry Arms Hotel. Trick, they said to Sherry Netherland. What about the treat? She asked. First comes the trick, said one of the witches. Guess which witch is Grover? Sherry pointed to one of the witches. Is it you? No, cried the 5 witches. Well, you sure tricked me, said Sherry, and she gave each of them a candied apple. The elephant elevator operator couldn't guess which witch was Telly. So he gave each of the witches a bag of peanuts. Up and down Sesame Street went the 5 witches. At every stop they tried their trick, but no one could guess which witch was Telly, or Grover, or Zoe, or Elmo, or Harry. Their trick-or-treat bags were getting heavier and heavier. This is the best Halloween ever, said Zoe, and she spun around, swirling her long black cape. Harry and Telly laughed in a cackling witchy way. Elmo and Grover pretended they were riding their brooms. Their next stop was Oscar's trash can. Trick, they cried. Oscar peered out from under his trash can lid. What kind of trick? He asked suspiciously. Guess which witch is Harry, said the 5 witches. That's easy, said Oscar. Let me see your feet. Oscar guessed that the witch with the big blue feet was Harry. Grover is the one with the little blue feet, he said. Bright pink feet? That has to be Telly. The one with the little red feet could only be Elmo. That leaves one witch with orange feet, which must belong to Zoe. You're right, said the 5 witches. Of course I'm right, said Oscar. Grouches are grouchy, not stupid. Now, I don't have to give you a treat. Aw, come on, Oscar, complained the 5 witches. Grumble all you want, said Oscar. It's music to my ears. Just remember that it's trick or treat, not trick and treat. You're right again, the 5 witches said sadly, and they began to walk away. Okay, wait, Oscar called after them. Because I'm such a big-hearted grouch, I've changed my mind. He disappeared inside his trash can and returned a minute later with a platter of little sandwiches. "Here's your treat," he said. "But first I have a trick for you. Guess which sandwich is which?" "Do you have peanut butter and jelly?" asked the witch with the little red feet. "That's Elmo's favorite." "No," said Oscar, "but I do have chocolate and tuna fish, sardine and garlic, and eggplant and prune." "Yuck," said the 5 witches. "What's the matter?" asked Oscar. "I thought witches would like sandwiches for a treat." "Well," said Zoe, "I guess this time the trick is on us." Humbug witch. There was this witch, and all of her was little, except her nose. That was very big. She had 2 crooked teeth and long stringy red hair. It was so long she kept tripping over it. She wore a slightly squashed, tall, black, pointed hat, like witches always wear, orange gloves, a hand-knit black wool shawl, an old plaid apron, red and white striped stockings, and funny-looking black shoes with gold buckles on them. She had a good sturdy broom and a black cat named Fred. You can see for yourself. She was truly a frightening-looking, horrible, witchy witch. But when she tried to do things, they never worked the way they were supposed to for witches. Like when she wanted to laugh wickedly and scare everyone, it never sounded cackle cackle cackle. It always sounded giggle giggle giggle. Or like when she wanted to go to Portugal or Chicago or the next door neighbors, she would climb on her good sturdy broom and say all sorts of magic words and wait for a few minutes. And nothing would happen. Then she would jiggle her good sturdy broom and say more magic words, real loud, and wait a long time. And still, nothing would happen. Nothing at all. The broom would not move an inch. When she wanted to turn Fred into an alligator, or a hippopotamus, or a candy bar, she would get down on her hands and knees and look Fred square in the eye and say all kinds of magic words. And wait, but Fred just stayed a cat. When she wanted to cook up a batch of magic potion, she would dump all the very best things in her very best kettle. Things like sour milk, paprika, molasses, prune pits, eggshells, hair tonic, apple peelings, pickle juice, cinnamon, genuine rainwater, cough syrup, and peanut butter. And she would stir it, and stir it, and stir it, and say all the magic words she could think of. And then she would stir it some more. It sizzled a little, but it never got smoky, or bubbly, or exploded, like magic potions are supposed to do. All it did was make Fred terribly sick to his stomach. She finally decided it was just no use. She stood her good sturdy broom in the corner. She took off her funny-looking black shoes with the gold buckles. She took off her plaid apron. She took off her hand-knit black wool shawl. She took off her slightly squashed, tall, black pointed hat. She took off her orange gloves. And she took off her long, stringy red hair. She took off her mask and went to bed. So did Fred, Donald Duck, and the witch. It was getting on toward Halloween. Donald Duck and his nephews were hunting for pumpkins, for jack-o'-lanterns. The day was almost over, and red and gold clouds were piling up in the sky when they found a field that was full of pumpkins perfect for them. They were walking back to the farmhouse, each with a round, ripe pumpkin in his arms, when Hughie stopped them all with a shout. "Look! A witch on a broomstick!" he cried. They all saw a dark form streak across the sky. "Pooh," said Donald. "Witches, pooh! There are no witches, you know that. It must have been some sort of bird you saw." But the boys were not convinced. The next day they set out to look for the witch. They had a long, hard walk through the tangled woods. There was no path to follow, and they were not even sure just what they hoped to find. At last, they heard a cackling laugh up ahead. And what could be a surer sign of a witch than a crickling, cackling laugh? "Shh!" said Dewey, with his fingers on his lips, as he led the way through the underbush into the clearing beyond. There stood a crooked little house, clearly the house of a witch. From the crooked little chimney rose a thread of smoke. Smoke and steam rolled up in the clouds from a cauldron out in front. And through the smoke came that merry, scary sound, the cackling laugh of a witch. "Welcome, boys, welcome," said the witch's voice. "Welcome to the witch Hazel's little home." Then she came hobbling toward them, a merry little sprite, grinning with witchery glee. The boys were speechless with surprise. "What can I do for you today?" Witch Hazel asked of them. "Any spells you'd like me to cast? Anybody you'd like to bewitch?" And her elbow poked Louie in the ribs, while she gave him a sly wink. "Bewitch!" echoed Louie. "Cast spells?" said Dewey. "Uncle Donald!" cried Hughie. They all agreed. They told Witch Hazel how Donald refused to believe in her or any other witch. "We'll show him," she cackled, beckoning them close. From the pockets of her dress she tossed bits of this and that into her steaming pot. "A real witch's brew," gasped Dewey Duck, as swirls of smoke in mysterious shapes began to rise and blow. "We'll show that, Donald," Witch Hazel vowed. "You meet me here on Halloween." Home went the boys, and they said not a word about their adventure to Donald Duck. Donald was not surprised when the boys disappeared early on Halloween. He was not surprised when his doorbell rang soon after dark that night. There beneath the porch light stood the boys. Donald chuckled as he recognized them through their disguises. They were dressed as witches, one and all. "Come in," said Donald with a grin, holding his door open wide. They parked their broomsticks beside the door. Donald rubbed his eyes as he thought he saw one jump. That he knew could not have been. In came the witches, 1, 2, 3. No, there were 1, 2, 3, 4. Donald was surprised, but he did not say a word as they all took seats around the room. "Treats?" he asked, passing a tray of fancy little cakes. "Ouch!" cried Dewey, who reached for one first. A mousetrap was stuck on his thumb. "Whoa!" cried Louie, who reached for one next. It turned out to be a jack-in-the-box. "Gulp!" gulped Huey when he bit into his. It was all made of rubber, you see. "Thanks," said the fourth guest with a cackling laugh. She blew at her cake and it exploded into dust, right in Donald's face. "Serves you right, Smarty," said a voice. Donald whirled around. There were only the jack-o'-lanterns sitting there, grinning saucily. But as Donald looked, it seemed to him that the merry faces shook with glee. "We must be leaving now," one witch said. "Won't you come with us and let us return your hospitality?" "No thanks," said Donald, clinging to the doorknob as they all swept him out onto the porch. It was 4 against 1. He soon found himself astride a broomstick. "Abracadabra, boys! Here we go!" he heard a voice cackle in his ear. All around him he saw broomsticks fly, and to his horror Donald saw the ground sink away below him too. Over the treetops and straight toward the moon the broomstick pointed, then down to the woods. "Welcome to Witch Hazel's little home," he heard the cackling voice say, and down tumbled Donald, down, down, down into the witch's pot. "Ho, ho, ho!" laughed the other 3. He knew his nephew's voices all too well. Donald gasped and sputtered, and he sizzled with rage when they hauled him out, soaking wet to the skin. The witches did not notice. They were all doubled over, laughing fit to kill. Witch Hazel disappeared into her little house and came back with an extra dress and hat. "Better put on something dry," she told Donald with a grin, and he stomped off into the house. When he came out again, a table was set close beside the bubbling pot. 3 jack-o'-lanterns glowed on a Halloween feast. Pumpkin pie and apple tart and candy corn and all sorts of delicious things. "Have a real treat, Uncle Donald," the nephews said, coming out from behind their masks. They all sat down and ate their fill. Yes, Witch Hazel too. After a while, even Donald could smile. "I still don't believe in witches," he said to Witch Hazel with a courtly bow. "But if there were any, I'd want them all to be just exactly like you." There was an old witch. There was an old witch who wanted a bat. I know why she wanted the bat, but I won't tell you that. There was an old witch who captured a cat that once in her lap scratched, scritched, and spat. She captured the cat to bag the bat. I know why she wanted the bat, but I won't tell you that. There was an old witch who created a creature whose howling and yowling was its finest feature. She created the creature to catch the cat that once in her lap scratched, scritched, and spat. She captured the cat to bag the bat. I know why she wanted the bat, but I won't tell you that. There was an old witch who unearthed a mummy who because of its wrappings was a little bit brumly. She unearthed the mummy to catch the creature. She created the creature to catch the cat that once in her lap scratched, scritched, and spat. She captured the cat to bag the bat. I know why she wanted the bat, but I won't tell you that. There was an old witch who assembled a skeleton, who tattled his bones with moans and groans. She assembled the skeleton to catch the mummy. She unearthed the mummy to catch the creature, to catch the cat that once in her lap scratched, scritched, and spat. She captured the cat to bag the bat. I know why she wanted the bat, but I won't tell you that. There was an old witch who conjured a haunt that awed and ooshed the walls and taunts. She conjured the haunt to catch the skeleton. She assembled the skeleton to catch the mummy. She unearthed the mummy to catch the creature. She created the creature to catch the cat that once in her lap scratched, scritched, and spat. She captured the cat to bag the bat. And why, oh why, did she want a bat? To gobble up a pesky gat? To carry off a sniffling brat? To befriend her lonesome cat? No, nothing more than to adore her Halloween hat. And that's that.